You're tuned in to the Daily BS.
Do you believe it?
Sports and culture combined into one.
Michael on the drive across the lane. Turnaround shot. Got it. 63 for Jordan.
Are you kidding me? He did what?
The Daily BS begins
Bazinga!
right now.
Great. Googly moogly.
Hadouken!
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Can't wait.
Every once in a while I'm busy going about my day, something comes across my screen, something comes across my desk that friends will send me. One friend in particular, and I've sent some things to him and told him to go for it. Well, the friend is Cole Johnson, and he sent me something with the message, throwing the lob on the fast break. Send it in like Shaq, my man. Now, anyone who knows me knows I love Shaquille O'Neal. Loved him as a player. He's an absolute goofball. Love that big man. Especially love the way he played center. I read the caption, which says, "The Warriors dynasty was fraudulent. It was all because of KD." Well, that got my spider senses going right then and there. And then I listened to the clip. This is courtesy, and I'm going to let you all hear a few seconds of it before I provide a response. This is courtesy of Undisputed on FS1. And the fellow who was making the comment is a friend of mine, Rob Parker, part of The Odd Couple, one of the shows I actually like. Rob Parker said this.
Read my lips. The Warriors dynasty, whatever you want to call it, has been officially eliminated once Kevin Durant left. It's not happening. I do not see the Warriors winning anything anytime soon. And it has nothing to do. You can talk about adding all the players, about the lottery picks and Wiggins. It's about Steph and Clay. It's about
The
those
best
guys.
backcourt ever?
Yeah, well, whatever you want to call it. That whole dynasty that everybody talks about is totally fraudulent.
Oh, God.
The only reason
It
they
wasn't
had
a dynasty?
No, the only reason they had a dynasty is because KD joined the team. Steph, Clay, and Draymond Green, they won one championship. That was without Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. That's the one that they won. Iguodala was the MVP, not Steph, not Clay. Hold on. And then they played Cleveland and were the first team. That was the 73 and 9 team.
73 games.
That's right.
Wow,
Regular
pretty good.
season. But they choked down the NBA Finals. The first team in the history of the NBA to choke down a 3-1 lead. They lost 2 of the 3 games at home.
Yeah.
They lost 3 games in a row. They hadn't lost 3 games in a row all year. It's a fraudulent dynasty. Unless Kevin Durant's coming back, they're not winning again. Stop the romanticizing of Steph and Clay. Let me give you Steph's. You ready? Listen.
Well, to say the least, Rob Parker's cool, okay? I had him on my show. But when I heard that, and y'all know I'm a Golden State Warrior fan, that pissed me off. And it leads to this.
It's time to go.
Let's go in, shall we? The Warriors dynasty was fraudulent, according to Rob Parker. The Warriors dynasty was because of KD, according to Rob Parker. Mr. Parker, I guess you didn't realize that Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green were drafted by the Warriors in the process of their rebuild from 2009 to 2012. I guess you don't realize that Steph and Klay and Draymond are their core players. I guess you don't realize that it wasn't the Warriors who made the call for KD to come to them. It was KD who made the call to the Warriors. I guess you don't realize that the Golden State Warriors have something LeBron's never had in 17 years. It's called a winning culture. I guess you don't realize that Stephen Curry, the current Warrior, be injured as he may be, was a unanimous most valuable player and the only one in history to this juncture. I guess you don't realize that Stephen Klay knocked down 402 threes. I guess you don't realize that the Cleveland Cavaliers, to borrow from Stephen A. Smith, were granted an enormous stimulus package in 2016. I guess you don't realize that the NBA has had it in for the Golden State Warriors. Okay, I'm going a little far. I guess you don't realize that the Cleveland Cavaliers were granted a stimulus package all the way from heaven in 2016. Everybody wants to say, oh, the Cavaliers erased a 3-1 deficit. They had help. Don't you realize that they had help? They had help from the NBA. They had help from LeBron James, who engineered the whole damn thing by dry snitching on Draymond Green for kicking him in the you-know-where when it was an accidental kick in the first place. And second, LeBron tried to walk over him. If you want to follow the letter to the law, then the finals appearance in 2016 should not have happened, because if you follow the letter of the law, according to the NBA, Draymond Green should have been suspended in the Western Conference Finals, not the NBA World Championship Series. And I laid it out as a conspiracy theory that because of that stimulus package, that's why Cleveland was able to get back in the series, because if Draymond Green plays in Game 5 of that World Championship Series, it's a walk-off. It's a 5-game conquest. It's a 5-game wipeout. Because every game in that series because every game up to that juncture, the first 4 games were decided by double digits. The first 2 were wipeouts in Oakland. Cleveland wiped out the Warriors by 30 points in Game 3. And then the Warriors won by 11 in Game 4, 108-97. Matter of fact, the first 6 games were decided by double digits in that 2016 World Championship Series. I guess you don't realize, Mr. Parker, that in order for the Warriors to get back to the World Championship Series, they had to erase a 3-1 deficit of their own. And that was against the Oklahoma City Thunder, who had Kevin Durant at the time. If there was any kind of dynasty, it should have been formed in Oklahoma City. And to be more to the point, it should have been formed in Seattle. I have said it on this program, and I will continue to say it for as long as I'm alive. The Oklahoma City Thunder should not exist. It should still be the Seattle Supersonics, because the Seattle Supersonics had a 41-year history unfairly taken away from them by Clay Bennett and David Stern. Rest in peace, David Stern. I love you, but for that I don't. The Seattle Supersonics should still be in operation. David Stern could have forked over the money needed to get a new arena in Seattle and place it anywhere he wanted to. He had the cash. It should not have even gotten political. It should not have even gone to that point. If you want a dynasty, it should have started in Seattle. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, all that should have been in Seattle, not Oklahoma City. Can you imagine the rivalry the Seattle Supersonics and the Golden State Warriors would have had? It would have been a rivalry that would have been groundbreaking. Beyond groundbreaking. I mean, who expected the Golden State Warriors to come out of nowhere, Mr. Parker? And I guess you forgot the fact that the Golden State Warriors came out of nowhere, Mr. Parker, after losing a 7-game series against the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round in 2014, Mr. Parker, to rise to power, win 67 games, and win the World Championship on the Cavaliers' floor. Yeah. I guess you forgot all of that. I guess you forgot those facts. I guess you forgot the fact that the biggest rival, aside of the Cleveland Cavaliers, to this Warriors dynasty was the Houston Rockets. The Rockets had 4 shots at the Warriors. 4 of them. 4 shots at the Warriors, and they failed each and every time. A 5-game conquest in the Western Conference Finals in 2016, a 5-game in 2015. I beg your pardon, a 5-game win in the first round in 2016, a 7-game win in the Western Conference Finals in 2018, and a 6-game conquest in the Western Conference semifinals in 2019. And oh, by the way, Stephen Curry went off for 33 points in the second half of Game 6, the walk-off victory in Houston, Texas. But I guess you forgot all of that, didn't you, Mr. Parker? Mr. Parker, allow me to remind you that this dynasty is still in motion. This is an off year. Dynasties have had off years. Ask the Boston Celtics. Ask the Los Angeles Lakers, who lost to Houston in 5 games in 1986. Did anyone call that dynasty over? No. The Boston Celtics had an 8-year run as world champions, and then they lost. Did anybody call their dynasty over? No. They're still regarded as one because of the number of championships they have won, the number of championships the Los Angeles Lakers have won, 17 and 16 if you're counting, and this Golden State Warriors team is still young. They still have the best ownership group in the business. They still have the best set of players in the league. It's not LeBron's league. It's not Russell's league. It's not Russell Westbrook. It's not James Harden's league. No, this league in current time belongs to the Splash Brothers, and as big of a decision as Kevin Durant made to join the Golden State Warriors, he made the decision to leave them. Oh, by the way, Mr. Parker, have you figured out the fact that Kevin Durant's not playing this year, or the possible fact that Kevin Durant may not play next year because of a serious injury? Or have you forgotten the fact that that injury happened because he was giving himself to the Golden State Warriors? The Kevin Durant move to Golden State enhanced them the same way that Dennis Rodman going to Chicago enhanced the Bulls, the same way that James Worthy, a draft pick, mind the way, enhanced the Lakers, the same way that Bill Walton, who was drafted by the Portland Trailblazers enhanced the Boston Celtics in 1986, the same way, my friend, that having Sean Elliott return to the San Antonio Spurs after a stint with the Detroit Pistons enhanced the San Antonio Spurs in their dynastic run. And oh, by the way, have you figured out the fact that the Spurs never put 3 consecutive championships together, and yet they are called a dynasty for their run? Have you ever figured out the fact that the Lakers, who have three-peated on a couple of occasions, didn't have their dynasty called dead or fraudulent because of some of the players they had in their organization, nor have the Spurs, the Bulls, the Celtics, or anybody else that had a long run of championship excellence. In other words, what I'm saying to you, my friend, is that championship excellence depends on the parts of a team. You understand that? As much as of a LeBron hater that you are, and I give you credit for that, you have to remember you can't hate Steph and the Warriors, you can't hate Steph and Clay, you can't hate the Splash Brothers because they are part of a team. Just as Tim Duncan and David Robinson were, just as Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were, just as Magic Johnson, Abdul-Jabbar, and James Worthy were, just as Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish were. And oh, by the way, there was a trade that the Boston Celtics made in 1984 that brought them the final piece to their championship puzzle after being swept the year before by the Milwaukee Bucks. That piece's name was Dennis Johnson. He was traded to them courtesy of the Phoenix Suns. But I guess you forgot all of that, did you, Mr. Parker? Now, that's me.
Go!
I got to take a break after all of that.
You're tuned in to the Daily BS. Sports and culture combined into one.
Time for Transition Tuesday here on the program. And you know I can't do this by myself, so I got Russ Williams with me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Happy to talk to you again, Snowman. There's another Tuesday, and that makes time for our Transition Tuesday segment. Love it.
Yes, indeed it is. You can catch him every Tuesday night for a full show of Transition Tuesday. I had the chance to be on it, and for the better part, bragged about my beautiful wife, who's also one of my executive producers of the program. So your subject this week had me salivating, because there's a phrase that says you can go from being the hunter to being the hunted. And when you threw this at me, I was licking my chops for this. Let's go. What you got for me?
Absolutely, Snowman. Well, there's some game plan steps, or as I like to coin the phrase, GPSs, that you have to take when you're transitioning to being the hunted. The first GPS is, and I'll start by this, Snowman. Snowman, are you a hip-hop fan at all?
I am.
All right. Now, I don't know if you remember, this group came out 25 years ago called the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, I remember them quite
and
well.
They had a pop. You remember them quite well? Well, they had a great song that gives us our first GPS. And that first GPS that they had, but the song that they had was called Protect Your Neck.
Yes.
So you have to protect your neck. That's right. You got to protect your neck when you're transitioning to being the hunted.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is you have to protect your neck at all times. You have to protect your neck at all times, because when you're the hunted, people are coming for your neck. They're coming for you. And the great thing about that title, Protect Your Neck, there was a hip hop scholar who was part of the group, Raekwon the Chef.
Yes.
He had a great phrase, and he said, half of us will try to make it, the other half will try to take it.
Yes.
So just like I'm saying here with the Protect Your Neck, it's very important, because you earn the right to be hunted. People earn the right to be hunted through their hard work and dedication at their craft. So you have to protect your neck at all costs. So that is the first GPS when transitioning to be the hunted. Second GPS is you have to stay humble when you're being the hunted. What I mean by that is, Snowman, is you're going to wear a bullseye on your back. So you have to wear that bullseye on your back with humility and grace. But also, on another hand, you have to really show people why you're the hunted now. And that's because due to your talent. So you really have to really stay humble, and when you're going from being the hunter to the hunted.
What's so huge, and you bring up two very good steps: protect your neck and use the humility. You would think and stay humble. I beg your pardon. You would think they would be on opposite sides of the spectrum, and to the naked eye, they are on opposite sides of the spectrum. But at the same time, they are very much one and the same. And being the hunted, if I'm reading you as correctly as I think I am, transitioning from being the hunter to being the hunted, that involves a lot of confidence too.
It does. It definitely does. Take, for example, the Chiefs. The Chiefs they won the Super Bowl, so they are now going to be the hunted team. So every opponent that they play next year, they're gonna treat that game as like their Super Bowl. They're the hunted. Also, the 49ers, even though they lost the game, they too are going to be the hunted team.
They're the NFC champions. They're the NFC champions.
Absolutely.
They're the NFC West champions.
Yes,
and this is a team that came out of nowhere. And sometime back during the season, I'd liken the 49ers to the Golden State Warriors, coming out of nowhere, snatching a conference title, which no one expected them to get. So the Chiefs and the 49ers are the hunted. They are indeed the hunted.
Absolutely, yeah. They're the hunted. Those teams, they're the hunted. they're really gonna, people are gonna be going for that neck. You got to protect your neck.
Absolutely.
And the Chiefs and the 49ers, you have to protect your neck. I'm looking at the Iowa caucuses that just went down, recently. The Democratic nominees, the person there, whoever comes out of that caucus is now going to be the front runner. So they are going to be the hunted as well. So they too have to protect their necks as well.
Well, but whoever comes out of the Iowa caucuses, not only are they the hunted, they're also the hunter trying to succeed the incumbent that's in office right now.
Absolutely. Yes. You make a great point there, Snowman. Absolutely. So you always got to protect your neck. And, we apply this sometimes to sports as we're doing now, politics or what have you, but this could be everyday use for people, people who are just, starting out in jobs, getting that job that they crave. Now they become the hunted. With everybody else trying to get their position in their spot. So I always recommend those two spots, those two GPSs. You got to protect your neck from the jump, and also you got to stay humble in your process too as well.
Which one of these two steps do you think is the toughest to maintain?
Well, in my case, I live life with humility. So, for me, in my case, probably protect your neck would be the toughest one for me. Because again, it's all about, that's just a mentality that you have to really absorb. Like really you have to be confident. When you're protecting your neck, when you're protecting your self-worth at all costs, you got to be really confident in doing that, So so in my case, I think protect your neck will be the toughest for me because I always try to live with humility all through my life. So, but protecting your neck will probably be the toughest one.
Well, for me, it's a combination of both because, and I go back, I mention my wife all the time on this program. Until I met her, I never knew how to put the entire picture together. And there are some days and there are some stretches of time where I still have difficulty putting the entire picture together. But learning about her and what she's going through, it's becoming easier each day. It's a combination of both for me. Being the hunted, having the confidence in doing what I do in this program and the other programs that I put together, and also launching Snowman Digital Media, her having her confidence in what she's doing, the confidence is there. Being the hunted is starting to become a reality, and in a good way, and I think I know you as well as I do to say this, in a good way, it also becomes a habit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so like take you, for example, Snowman, because you're climbing up the food chain in the podcast realm, right? So you're really doing that. So now you're going to becoming, you are becoming the hunted. People are hearing more about the podcast, everything you do with the podcast. People are coming for that. So you too, Snowman, my man, have to protect your neck.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes, I do. And not just for me and not just for the fans that listen to the show, also for my family. It's so big. It's so big. You know this very well. It's so big, and I'm glad you referenced that song and referenced that particular song, Protect Your Neck. Let me speak to the men about this, and we talk to the men all the time. You got to protect your neck, especially when it comes to your craft, when it comes to your home, and when it comes to your family.
Absolutely. Just like Raekwon the Chef said, half of us will try to make it,
the other half will try to take it.
Absolutely. Hey, Snowman, speaking of that Super Bowl and everything, what do you think about like the commercials of the Super Bowl? And more in particular, that Brady, the Tom Brady commercial, in which I thought he was trolling people. In the case of, what's he gonna do? And like for me, I'm just looking at that commercial, looking at Tom Brady. He is a guy who is going to be hunted as well because he's going to be coveted. He's going to be romanced by other teams if he decides to leave the Patriots. So I want to get your thoughts on that. What were your thoughts on that Tom Brady commercial, him trolling the world? That's what I thought he was doing.
You know what? He trolled the world, but he also, for me, answered a question. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. That's how I think of it. He's been coming out of that tunnel for 20 years. And he's at the end of his contract right now, and the whole social media universe has gone upside down wondering where he's going to land next. And I've read some articles of where he could land. I mean, he's from California. He analyzed Joe Montana for years. He's not going anywhere. He's staying right there in New England. This is Tom Brady we're talking about. Has he lost a step? Certainly. Has he lost a little zip on his arm? Certainly. But you really think he wants to move away from Bill Belichick and start a learning process all over again after what he's had for 20 seasons? I think not.
Well, I look at it kind of a little differently there, Snowman, because I'm looking at it almost like a Kobe Bryant with Shaq sense.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant, he strived to, get away from out of Shaq's shadow and prove to the world that he can win without Shaq. So I'm thinking these guys are two competitors, Belichick and Brady. And I can see Brady as a competitor, seeing if he can do it on his own, so that way he won't be, left with the stigma of those two winning championships. I think he might be up to the challenge to do that. But again, it's all speculative. We don't really know. But I can see him. I can see him trying to do it, though. I can definitely see him trying to do it and go elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just have to see what happens. We will just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting to see how that process plays out. Speaking of process, that's the end of this one. This is Transition Tuesday with Russ Williams. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
Absolutely. On Twitter, you can find me at allwilltransition. On Instagram, you can find me at allwilltransitions with an S. And please, your audience out there, please email me at allwilltransitions@gmail.com. Again, I'm available for transitional services in terms of individual instructions and sessions that I provide, and also I'm also for speaking engagements as well. So just hit me there at allworldtransitions@gmail.com. Would love to talk to you guys and make sure everybody protects your neck out there.
That's our Transition Tuesday, going from being the hunter to being the hunted. And you'd like to be the hunted because it lets you know you're one of the best at your craft. Thanks a lot, my friend. Appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Speaking of Tom Brady, speaking of him, there are a few other quarterbacks that have come to the end of their contract. Is it the end of their rope? I'll explain when y'all get back.
You're tuned in to the Daily BS. Sports and culture combined into one.
Okay, folks. I know I'm not the only one angry that the sports world has shut down, and for very good reason, because this coronavirus is not one to play with. Let me welcome Cole Johnson of Cole Sports now onto the program. How are you, my friend?
Doing good. How are you?
At a standstill, kinda. This is weird. This is weird, but at the same time, understand why the moves were made that were made. And I sent you an article with Adam Silver. Most folks are mad at Adam Silver for leading the way and taking the health of his players and his league and the fans into account. And I know you've seen a couple posts like this. Why are the fans being stupid and being mad because Adam Silver made a priority decision?
When you get right down to it, it all boils down to priority. And I think when you have something like this happen, and a lot of me actually is glad something like this is happening, not saying that I want to have a pandemic roam the earth.
Right.
But the perspective that you gain from it, I'm glad it's happening, is the fact that you now have to not play sports as the main priority in life.
Right.
I mean, there's more important things than sports. Look, would I like to see a sporting event be played? Sure. I would love that. No question about that. But would I want to do this and watch this event at the expense of the health of the players who go out there? No, I want them
Absolutely
to be healthy.
not.
I want the fans to be healthy. No, I don't want that. So if the NBA had to make the decision to shut down because, we had one player who contracted the virus, who unfortunately passed it on to possibly two different people that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
And if Silver had to take the heat for it, fine. If I were him in his position, I would do the exact same thing, and I would smile at the criticism because there shouldn't be.
David Stern would have done the same thing. David Stern wouldn't have blinked.
Easily. I mean, Silver respects and loves the players, no question.
Right.
But Silver learned from the book of Stern as to how to govern the NBA, because that is a move that David Stern would have done. He would have snapped his fingers.
And he wouldn't have blinked. I'll say it again.
So.
David Stern would not have blinked.
No, and rightfully so. He shouldn't have blinked. This is where I applaud Silver. The moment he caught wind that the Utah Jazz's Rudy Gobert came down with the coronavirus, he was like, okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to make, I think it's the Chesapeake Arena, which should be in Seattle.
It should be the Seattle Center Coliseum, but I digress. Okay, we'll digress in a moment, folks. You and I share the exact same feeling. It should not be the Chesapeake Energy Arena or whatever the hell it's called. It should be the Seattle Center Coliseum. Hell, you want to make it? You really want to make it old school? How about a brand new Kingdom? How about that? It should be something like that. But we'll digress later.
Yes. Yeah. So he made the right decision to say, okay, that's going to be a quarantine area. And then immediately after that, he said, all right, we'll let some of the games that are going on play. We'll let the other games that are scheduled that night to be at the discretion of the building and the city. But after these games are played, we're shutting the NBA down. I applaud him for that. That was a boss move. That was a boss move. And it was going to have to take a move like that from one of these sports governing bodies to basically shake sense into the sports world and say, wait a minute, there's a whole lot more important that's riding on this than whatever championship your sport is going after. Let's take that step back and say, okay, the health of our players is a whole lot more important, at least in the NBA, than the Larry O'Brien Trophy. And we believe the Larry O'Brien Trophy is important, but life is a whole lot more important. So we're going to put the kibosh on that. Yes, and I heard ridiculous statements such as, this is fake news, this is a media conspiracy, and yes, I even heard something even heard something, and I know you have too, as ridiculous as saying, quote, this is meant to step in the way of the Lakers winning their championship.
Oh, dear God.
Close quote.
Okay.
I know you heard that.
You know what?
I know you heard that.
I
know you heard that.
It has been thrown in my face several times via social media and via these, you ready for this term? Because I know you're going to use this one on your show. Millennial Laker fans. That this
I do
stopping.
respect long-term Laker fans. They get it.
Listen,
yeah, I agree with you.
The real Laker fans get it. All right?
Mm-hmm.
The real Laker fans get it. These millennial fake Laker fans, and yes, I put the word fake in my sentence, and I've got a few darn good reasons. All they want to see and beg to see is, forgive me for swearing, LeBron get his 4th championship.
Oh, that's cold. Forgive me for swearing.
Forgive me for swearing. Forgive me for swearing.
Okay. let me go ahead. Because I got something ridiculous that I really do have to lay on you.
People have actually said that to me, and I've seen. Lord help me. I have actually seen people that are millennial Laker fans crying over this. You want a lob? Here it is. I'll be Drexler, you be Olajuwon. Here's your lob right here, and I'm throwing it from center court at the Summit. People, yeah, this is for you. From the timeline at the Summit all the way to the basket. And the lob is as follows. Thank you, quote, "Thank you, Rudy Gobert. You just cost LeBron his 4th championship." Close quote.
Okay. This segues me into the perfect ridiculousness that I have heard along with that.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
All right. So I think I saw some sort of tweet which this nonsense that said, like there's, and I'm paraphrasing, there's some bylaw in the NBA where they said the top record on April 1st, if a season is shut down for whatever reason, goes to the team with the best record. And so what picture do you see? You see a picture of a photoshopped LeBron James in his Laker jersey with the Larry O'Brien trophy cradled like a baby, right?
Oh, God.
Here is where they messed up. Because...
Oh, no.
Because do the Lakers have the best record currently in the NBA? The answer to that question is no. That team would reside 90 miles north of Chicago, there in Milwaukee, where the reigning defending MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, plays. And yes, when they resume the NBA, he will win the award again this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So you all are that. What did I say to you 2 years ago when the Lakers got LeBron from free agency, and then again reiterated it last summer? I said the NBA is desirous of having LeBron James be a champion, and they go overboard in just throwing so many platitudes in this direction. Oh, it's great that LeBron's in LA. He's going to restore the luster and the roar of the Lakers. Staples Center is now the epicenter of the NBA world. Well, Kawhi had a lot to do with that too, but still, Staples Center is the epicenter of the NBA world. And oh man, we're finally going to get playoff basketball in April, May, and we definitely think we're going to have it in June. There's a few teams in the West that has something to say about that, but I digress again.
Yep.
This is going to be a great thing, and that has been said for the last year and a half.
Yep.
And it's...
Let's go back a year.
And the fact,
let's go back a year for a moment. Let's go back
before we do that. Okay. Yeah, before that, the fact that people are putting this coronavirus stamp and saying the NBA is canceled because the NBA does not want to see LeBron get his 4th and the Lakers get their 17th trophy is absolutely ridiculous.
Let's go back a year.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes, please.
Matter of fact, let's go back to the summer of 2018. Okay? July 3rd. No, July 5th, 2018.
Okay.
In the span of 24 hours, from the 2nd to the 3rd, 2 bombs were dropped. The first one was expected. The second one was unexpected. And the unexpected bomb had more of an impact than the expected one. Y'all remember what happened, because I had this young man on my show when we analyzed said bombage. The expected bomb was LeBron James signed a 4-year deal, and I still don't think he's going to do all 4 years, but I digress, and I'll explain later this week. LeBron signs a 4-year deal with the Lakers. Yeah, we all expected that. We all expected him to leave Cleveland. But the unexpected response came from the then 2-time world champion Golden State Warriors and said, okay, Lakers, you got LeBron. Congratulations. We got Boogie. And the 4th of July crashed.
What I loved about that whole thing was you had so many from all around the NBA, the fans, and some, not necessarily the players per se, but some of the organizations even. They're saying, wait a minute, the deck is stacked. Why is it that they already have Curry, Thompson, and I really don't count Green, but they sometimes do. Green, Durant. Now they have Cousins. This guy before he was injured dropped 40 and 20 on consecutive nights before he tore his Achilles.
Yep.
This is unfair, and they got him for a veteran minimum exception? That's unfair. And you know what I had to say about that. I'm like, look, you had your chance. All the other 29 teams had their chance to sign him. You didn't.
Sure did.
The champs did. And all you have to say to that is, bravo. Bravo. You dropped the mic. That's all you could say, because you all were not man enough to step up to the plate and put a contract in front of DeMarcus's face. The Warriors did. And then on top of it, Cousins was like, hello? Yeah, Mr. Latham? Yeah, this is DeMarcus Cousins. Yeah, look, I love that team you got out there, and I want a ring bad. Is there any way possible that I can get on that team? Anyway, look, I don't care. I don't need an extravagant contract. Look, I'll sign for the veteran minimum.
Yep.
well, the veteran minimum is like $5 million. I don't care. I'll sign for that.
Yep.
Really? Okay. Well, be on the first thing smoking out to San Francisco. We'll sign that contract for you. I mean, come on, man.
And in 30 minutes' time, Steph said yes, Clay said yes, Draymond said yes, KD said yes. The management was all aboard. In fact, the management said, we don't care about his past. We know what he can do for us. And we can let him,
they know what they can.
And we can let him rest and get completely healthy. Did the Lakers do that? No. Did the Pelicans do that? No. Did the Spurs do that? No. Did the Portland Trail Blazers do that? No. And I'm taking a lot of digs. Here's one for you. Did the Philadelphia 76ers take a chance on DeMarcus Cousins? No.
I guess they didn't want to trust that process.
The Warriors did. Now, yes, they did lose to the Toronto Raptors in what was a fantastic World Championship Series. The Warriors knew they ran into a buzzsaw, and Nick Nurse indeed outcoached Steve Kerr. But I expect Toronto and Golden State to hook up again in the next 2 to 3 years. I'll have more on that later. But no other team in the NBA had the nerve to accept DeMarcus Cousins' call. And the last 2 free agents that signed with Golden State, Kevin Durant, DeMarcus Cousins, they called the team. The team didn't call them. They called the free agents called the Warriors. The Warriors didn't have to call them.
That is why I have said in the last 6 years, I'll even say the last 7, the best organization in the NBA has been the Warriors. Because when you have free agents who call the team to say, I want to be a part of this organization, That says something about the climate and the culture of that organization.
Mm-hmm.
It just says something. It just says something. Okay,
You know who else did something like that? You know who else did something like that? Dennis Rodman called the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Rodman called Jerry Krause. Jerry, can I play with Mike? So Phil Jackson invites everybody to his house, and I'll never forget the way Dennis Rodman told this story in his Hall of Fame speech. And Phil said, okay, we just need you to do one thing. Name it. Can you go in the kitchen and apologize to Scottie Pippen? And when Dennis told that story, you see a shot of Scottie laughing his head off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's been well documented that Scottie was like, I didn't want him on the team,
right?
Because all of those battles that we had when he was a Piston, it just soured me on the guy,
right?
But it just goes to show you the professionalism of a Scottie Pippen. It's like, all right, fine. So Rodman showed that he was willing to do that. He did that. 3 years later, 3 championships they win together. So, I mean...
And as a matter of fact, at the 96 rally...
How a good organization
at the 96 rally, Dennis publicly apologized to Scottie while on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's... Okay, so we got that. And we'll come back to the NBA in just a moment. We got that. All the other sports leagues followed suit and took the health of the fans and the players into major consideration and acted accordingly. Yes, we don't have March Madness, but I'd rather have a March Madness with everybody healthy than 50 fans in a stadium.
Mm-hmm. And risking the players' health, too.
Risking the fans' health, the players' health, the media's health. When all the cancellations started coming down last week, and I was looking forward to this March Madness because it was in Atlanta. It was going to grace Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But I say better safe than sorry.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same. I'm the exact same. In fact, I was saying to myself, because the conference tournaments were underway.
Yep.
I was like, why are they dragging their feet?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they dragging their feet? The professional end has said, okay, we're shutting down. And look, I get it. For the exception of certain teams in the big bowl games during the new year.
Mm-hmm.
The NCAA makes their most money. Let's be completely forthright here. Let's put it all on the table.
Yeah,
they make their most money this month.
Let's turn over all the cards.
March is when the NCAA makes their most money.
Yep.
Period. So I get why the hesitancy. I do. But I will go back to what I said about Silver and why I really applaud him. The NCAA, I think finally they had a few people who said, look, it is the health of everybody concerned over the tournament. And it had to take 2 blue blood programs saying, you can have the tournament, we ain't coming to it, for the NCAA to say, oh, I guess we need to shut this down. Kansas and Duke.
Yep.
And Kansas being the overall number 1 seed to boot. So, I mean, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would have began tonight with the first 4 in Dayton. But I'd rather have a full tournament happen where all of us basketball junkies can dive right in and be glued to the television, which is probably going to get a cross look and a funny look from my wife, because she knows how I am. She'll just look at me and say, "Who's playing?" And bring some food to me, and she'll look, and I'll tell you a funny story. I got to digress here. I got to tell you a funny story. We were watching the Vikings and the Saints in the wild card game.
Okay.
And deep into the fourth quarter, Vikings have the ball up 10. And actually up 3 Up 3, 20-17.
And Saints were on their way to coming back. Okay.
Yep, Saints were on their way to coming back. And we both were working on other projects. We had the sound in our ears. Joe Buck was on the call at the Superdome. A split second later, my wife looks over at the television, and she goes, "Oh, no!" I look over, and I see about 5 or 6 Saints racing to the end zone. And we're just looking at each other, and we saw the replay. Actually, we're still seeing it live. They're running into the end zone, and my wife blurts out, "Insanity ensues." The play was called back because the runner was actually down by contact. The Saints did get the ball, march downfield, get the game-tying field goal.
Right.
But we would have had that. We'd have had that in a heartbeat. Okay, so, folks, take care of yourselves, okay? Make sure you wash your hands when you come out the bathroom. Use hand sanitizer. I know about the social distancing, but hey, I got a family, so most times I don't pay attention to that rule, even though they were yelling it at work this morning. I practice social distancing, and I got so many people coming up to me because, folks, wife and I go to work, then come back and crank up and do this. Practice social distancing, they kept yelling at work, and yet I got 5, 6, 7 people coming up to me at the same time going, "Are you mad they're not having a tournament this year?" And we're having a discussion right there in front of every person in charge that screams at the top of their lungs, and they actually have the nerve, and you're going to love this, to pull out a microphone system and yell, "Practice social distancing." And we're looking at them going, "What?" But to be serious, if you don't feel good, stay home. That's common sense.
Yeah.
Come out the bathroom, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. That's common sense. If you got a cough or sneeze, do it in your sleeve. Do it in the crux of your arm, in the crick of your arm. That's common sense. It's common sense. And the fourth point I want to make about this coronavirus, because it is serious, folks, and I tell NBA millennial fans to do this all the time. Do your research, please. Do your research.
Please do.
The information's out there. Okay?
Gosh, please do.
I mean, my wife's dream job is to work with the CDC. And that was the first website she consulted when this took off. That was the first thing she did.
Smart.
That was the first thing we did. We started doing our research. Folks, the information's out there. Do your research on prevention. If you can't prevent it and you do get sick, get treated immediately. The longer you drag this out, the more you have a chance for this infection, if it hits you, to get worse. Don't just look at the numbers of who died over in Italy or over here in the United States. Do your research, please. The most important weapon besides common sense that you can have against this virus is education.
Yeah. That for sure. That for sure is what we need to do more of. And it's funny, we talk about sports, and I really do believe the reason why we both have a platform is because a lot of people do a lack of what you just said in the sports realm. So extrapolate that into the life realm, and I think it actually applies there too.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. When I got sick in January and I got up and I was getting ready to go to work, my wife took one look at me and pointed at me and said, "You're not going anywhere." I said, "Huh? You're not going anywhere. You're staying put. You're staying put." And of course, my daughter made fun of me because unfortunately she got sick, but we got through it. The point is we got through it. Okay, we weren't careless. And there are some people out here, and I'm going to go all the way there. You want to turn over a card? Let's play Jim Perry's Card Sharks, okay? Let's turn over that final card in the money cards. There are some that share our color, my friend, that will not do their research.
To the point where I have heard someone actually say, well, we're black. We won't get the coronavirus pandemic. I actually heard that.
I knew you'd catch the cue. Like I said, let's play Card Sharks with Jim Perry. Turn that final card over. Okay?
I actually heard that, and it was the day that Donovan Mitchell came down with the virus. And when I saw this, I had to say, well, that myth is burst.
I had someone say that to me at my job. Then Donovan Mitchell comes out with the coronavirus. I just put my hands around him and looked him in the eye and said, "You were saying?" Look, let's take race, let's take color, let's take creed all out of the equation. This hurts everybody. Illness hits and hurts everybody. Do your research, folks. Do your research and trust your gut feeling. Trust your body feeling. If you don't feel good, even though, money makes the world go round, makes the bills get paid, but use a little common sense. If you don't feel good, don't go. It's not worth you infecting 100 or so people at your job. And I'll use Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's not worth the infection of 70,000 people just to put a game on, because the NCAA, as soon as they would make that $1 billion, would give it back in the form of one simple word: lawsuits.
And plenty of them.
Yep.
And I think that's what people don't get. And there's people even now, to this day, they're saying, well, come on, you can still have these games played.
And if the players get ill, then what?
Thank you. Then what? You have the players or the coaches, or God forbid, all of them,
right?
Them and the referees, and
the media,
and the crew, and the media, and the crew that are the skeletal crew that it would be then that would operate the arena.
Man,
you mean to tell me that's not tragic enough? That you need to have upwards to 16, 17, 18,000, 20,000 people all get sick at the same time.
Yep.
Because, dare I say, one person may not have done like what you said a few minutes ago, actually be preventive and actually be sick and then pass this on. So sport, business as usual in sport, is good enough for you to where you're like, okay, if they get sick, oh, well, screw it. It's not me. Get out of here.
Take the preventative measure.
I love sports as much as the next person.
Thank you.
But sometimes you have to place life above it.
You have to. Take the preventative measures, folks. And if you keep taking the preventative measures, if you listen to your body, and if you trust your body and trust your gut feeling, and if you're sick and you don't go, there's one other there's one measure that you can use that's common sense that'll help get a virus or a respiratory infection out of you. Anybody heard of something called hot water?
Yeah.
Anybody heard of something called steam that comes from hot water? And I'm not saying this to be a smart aleck. I'm saying this because a lot of us have been sick. A lot of us have not used common sense. I am guilty thereof. I am guilty thereof. Okay? I am totally guilty thereof. Hell, I got my wife sick and she barked at me for a week and let me have it and kidded around with me for an entire week. Okay? I've been stupid enough to think that I was okay. And that one big cough, and I'm going to joke around with you folks. You think you're okay to go, your body's weak, your body's exhausted, and you think you can go, and that one big cough happens. And you're like, I'm not going to even try it. Folks, if you feel ill in any way, shape, form, or fashion, don't try it. Rest and get well, please. I implore you. We implore you. Do your research.
Yes, not just you.
Take your preventative measure. Take the preventative measures. Vitamin C helps too. All right.
You just spoke most of my February because that's how I was.
I get it.
In fact, I had a business trip. Yeah, I had a business trip. I had to go to this business trip, and I was sick then. Now, I wasn't, coughing up a storm or sneezing up a storm, but I knew that I was not feeling myself.
Right.
I'm like, oh, this sucks. And on my trip, and I love what I had to I love what I learned on this business trip. It was great. But in February, those are the two worst days I felt all that month.
I gotcha.
So I get back home. I'm sounding gravelly. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be bad because I can hear my wife tease me already. And this is on the flight coming back home. And so she does so. And so she's like, all right, you know the drill. I'm like, yeah, I do. So basically I quarantined myself in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a hot shower, went straight to bed because I got home like about midnight.
Right.
So I took a shower, went straight to bed, slept for almost 12 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And basically secluded myself the following 2 days.
Oh,
did nothing until I went and dressed and got to work. I did nothing for 2 days.
I adore that. I tell you a funny story, folks, and not to make light of the coronavirus, but I got to tell this story.
No.
Last year, when we were in Terre Haute, Indiana, you ever have that time where you or your wife or both of you, all of a sudden it just hits you at once, and you sit up in bed and you're going, something is not right. You're like, something ain't right here, and you're wondering why it's not. You're wondering why it's not right, and then your body just decides to rebel.
I'm telling you, that was me.
Yep,
that was me. I mean, I was actually thinking to myself out loud this year. And I was like, okay, I'm doing good. This is around Super Bowl week.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, cool. I didn't really come down with anything big in December. Didn't come out with anything big in January. Then Super Bowl Sunday happened. The whole day I'm fine, right? And it was almost like clockwork. As soon as the game was over, I felt something in my right ear.
Yep.
Oh, go now.
Oh, been
and
there.
Then for the next few days, I tried my best to stifle coughs. I tried my best
you
to
couldn't
not
do
sneeze
it
around people, cough around people. It'll be like, I mean, it was just that type of stuff, right?
Yep.
And it just got to the point where 6 days later, when I was coming back on my business trip, I just couldn't hide it.
Couldn't hack it.
And I didn't. And I hacked. And didn't hide it when I was in my hotel room and went on my business trip. As soon as I got in the closed doors,
yep.
Tried to cough as hard as I could
to get it
whatever
out.
It was in me out of me.
Yep.
But around people, especially my wife, I tried to stifle it so hard. It was hilarious.
It is. When my wife and I got sick last year, we both had the flu, and it was awful. It was awful because if one of us gets sick, the other is taking care of it, well, like clockwork, okay?
And
we looked at each other, and she looked at me and she said, honey, I ain't going to work. I looked at the door, I looked at her, and I said, I'm not getting out of this bed to do anything. And you have one of those kind of sleeps. You take your medicine, you take your preventative measures, you take a nice hot shower.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You have one of those days where you fall asleep and you mark the time. So we fell back to sleep, and it was like 6:30 in the morning. The next time we woke up, it was 3:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, you got some good sleep. Oh, you got some good sleep. Yeah, man.
It's one of those where, and we had gone to the store a couple of days earlier, and we bought a bunch of popsicles. And she said, she said, can you brave it and go bring me some popsicles? I said, I'll bring both of us some popsicles. Do you know, in a span of 10 days, and these boxes of popsicles, and I'm having fun with this, folks, these boxes of popsicles had 24 in them. You know, in a span of 10 days, in fighting this flu, we killed 2 boxes of those. This is in between, because you only go in 2 places. 3. The kitchen, the bathroom, and bed. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. And I tell that funny story to just, again, hammer home the point. Folks, keep your preventative measures going, okay? Because we don't know how this virus is going to act with people. We don't know how it's going to we don't know how in this country how it's going to attack people, how any kind of preventative measures outside of the basics will respond to it. That's why we're hammering home the point. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. Do the research. The research is out there. And now that we got that off our chest, I got it. Let's go to the NFL. Let's just knock out the hour with some fun here, so we can keep people laughing. You know, we want to keep people in good spirits while all this pandemic is going on. Keep tuned to this show, and let's keep you in good spirits. And I'll put it in the form of a question for you. And I know it ain't going to keep you in a good spirit, but I have to do it. What the hell are the Houston Texans doing?
Bill O'Brien must go. I'm talking about must go like in a Christmas in July sale. I'm talking about he must go like a property that is in auction. I'm talking about he must go as in a starter's pistol in a 100-yard dash. He must go. He must get out of there. He must not even pass go. He must not collect $200. He must go. Why? Because this guy has no clue when it comes to coaching. He may have a clue when it comes to offensive coordinatorship. Might. And I'm talking about a big might. He doesn't have a clue with coaching. What made Cal McNair, the now owner of the team who got past the duty of being owner after his father Bob died?
Yeah.
What made him think that Bill O'Brien was worthy enough to be a general manager? And before he made the announcement in January that O'Brien was going to be the general manager, he basically did general manager-ish type duties for almost a year.
Yep.
And in that time, I'll give him dap on getting Laramie Tunsil from the Dolphins. That was a good pickup. That was a good trade.
But everything after that.
And around that, take, for example, Jadeveon Clowney. So it was word around a campfire, and you're going to hear this on repeat. So there was word around the campfire that Clowney and O'Brien didn't get along, and that O'Brien wanted to get rid of Clowney. However, the GM that was above him before what I think the spring of 2019, basically said, nah, no, he's good for us. We want to re-sign this guy. No, keep him on the team. As soon as O'Brien not necessarily got the GM job, but got GM duties, He looked at Jadeveon and basically said, your butt is as good as gone. I just need to find a suitor. And so he finds the Seahawks to be the suitor. And in return, he gets, I think, a fourth-round draft pick for next year.
Yep.
A fourth-round draft pick for this year, or a third-round draft pick for this year. A pass rushing project and a throwaway linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a guy who, to me, was, even with J.J. Watt is my favorite NFL player.
Right.
He was their best defensive player, hands down, bar none. Conley was their best defensive player. And he basically lets them go for peanuts, a project, and a throwaway. We now fast forward to today, or at least today's recording. I'll put it this way. We fast forward to Monday. And word around the campfire is
oh no, that
O'Brien and Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins, yes, the same guy who is an all-pro, the same guy who could blink and catch 100 passes in a year, the same guy who in 2018 dropped as many passes as you and I did.
Yep.
In the NFL. 0. The word around the campfire is Hopkins and O'Brien couldn't get along. And so O'Brien was like, okay, you, buddy, now that I am the GM, you are as good as gone. Now I need to find a suitor. So where does he go? He goes to another NFC West team. Oh, Cardinal. That would be great. And you know what? I have an eye on David Johnson. Why not go there? Okay, well, guess what? I know you got a stud for a quarterback in Kyler Murray.
Yep.
He's young. Mm-hmm. You know, he needs to learn how to be a pro, and he seems to be doing a good job as it is. You know what? We'll take David Johnson off your hands. We'll take a fourth-round draft pick from next year, and we'll take a second-round draft pick for this year off your hands. If you can get number 10 from the Texans off ours. And we'll throw in a fourth-round draft pick this year to boot. All this because of a Drumline quote that I love that O'Brien seems to not grasp. And the quote is when the main character, which was played by Nick Cannon, and the Drumline leader was having beef. They were having issues. So the Orlando Jones character said to them, quote, what you two need to do with this beef is put it on the grill it up, and eat it.
Yep.
Quote. O'Brien needed to do that twice. He decided not to do it each time. Now, I get they have an eye on the future because Watson's going to Deshaun Watson, the quarterback for the Texans.
Yep.
He's going to demand a big-time contract. I get that.
Oh, yeah.
Tunsil, he's going to demand a big-time contract. I get that, too. So I understand that they can't sign all of them, but why don't you actually go to the player and say, I know you want this, but I want to work with you so we can, on the back end, get you what you deserve.
Right.
We have an eye for this. And if you're willing to help us here, we will definitely take care of you on the other end. Mm-hmm. That conversation did not take place between O'Brien and Clowney, and it should have for sure taken place between him and Hopkins. It didn't.
Hopkins helped get him not one but two consecutive NFC South titles.
and four out of 5.
4 out of 5. Yep.
This is the same wide receiver who had a 100 catch season with not one, not two, not three, but four starting quarterbacks in a season.
Uh-huh.
And that is not the same year where he didn't drop any passes. I mean, this dude is at worst a top 3 wide receiver.
Yep.
And to me, he's the best. But I will concede at worst he is a top 3 wide receiver.
Yep.
He's only 27. He'll be 28 when they snap the ball again in the late summer and early fall.
Mm-hmm.
And you let him go for a second rounder, a fourth rounder, and an off-injured backup now running back. Yes, David Johnson was a stud 4 years ago.
Yep.
He has heart. I have no issue with David Johnson at all. However, you have a player now at running back who has the talent to go, but you have the same issue now with your current now number one wide receiver, Will Fuller, who, when he's on the field, he can go.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is Fuller is injured more often than he is playing.
Yes.
The same is of David Johnson. So why are you hurting your team by getting rid of somebody because your ego is bruised? And you've done this now twice in the calendar year.
Right.
That does not make sense to me. And I'm interested to hear what you have to say, Mr. Snow, because I'm livid at the fact that O'Brien is so brain dead.
Mm-hmm.
The floor is yours. Oh, God, I can't believe him.
See, I'm going to liken this to my hometown team, which is the Chicago Bears, and my favorite team of all time, which is the San Francisco 49ers. The Bears have an owner in place with the last name McCaskey. And anybody who's a Bears fan knows McCaskey is as big a cuss word to them as LeBron is to me.
Yes, I have heard many choice words being said about McCaskey.
Okay? The 49ers, that's why I said we, had a period of time very recently where we had a quarterback who regressed and tried to make it political and played himself out of the league, but people don't want to listen to a snowman, but I'll move on. We've had ownership, a general manager, and a head coaches, that, for lack of a better phrase, didn't know what the hell they were doing until now, that have made similar moves, very similar moves. Bill O'Brien thinks he can do both, be a general manager and a head coach. Hey, Bill O'Brien, didn't you lead 24-0 at Kansas City in the divisional playoffs, and you should have put that game away in the first half, and you didn't? Hey, Bill O'Brien, didn't you have to use a rally from 16 points down to beat the Buffalo Bills, who basically handed you the game in the second half by taking field goals instead of touchdowns, and that should have been a blowout? And Bill O'Brien, how many games did it take you to finally get rid of a pesky team we like to call the Indianapolis Colts 4 of the last 5 years to win a division title? Hey, Bill O'Brien, I have a question for you. If Deshaun Watson is not your best receiver, favorite receiver, number one target, or option D, all of the above, remember the Scantron test, folks. And my wife is laughing at me about that, her being an educator. Then what is he? I love Deshaun Hopkins. Love him to pieces, okay? DeAndre Hopkins. I got the name wrong. I apologize for that, Texans fans. My brain is fuzzy. I was at work this morning. DeAndre Hopkins, number 10, who could very well wear number 80, and we know who made that number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes, sir, he could. Yes, sir, he could. And he would do number 80 proud if he did.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. He would do number 80 very, very proud. And I'm talking about the greatest of all time out of Mississippi Valley State. And
Very
you got
right.
a quarterback in Deshaun Watson who, wait for it, loves throwing to him.
Ding, ding, ding.
Hey, Bill O'Brien, instead of sending DeAndre Hopkins packing for an oft-injured David Johnson, which means you're not going to have a running game for 2 years, why didn't you work on an offensive position where you sorely needed help, which was tight end? See, DeAndre Hopkins can wear number 80, and Will Fuller can wear number 82. And y'all know and if you know old school football like you know the reference. Why didn't you get a tight end? Why didn't you get the weapon that the two Super Bowl participants, the Kansas City Chiefs and my beloved 49ers, used to their advantage? Why didn't you get... All right, how about this? Why didn't you get an offensive line?
Yes, please. Besides Tunsil,
why didn't you get a
that
center?
Offensive line is Swiss cheese.
Why didn't you get what Moses? Why didn't you get what Jesse Sapolu, Jay Hilgenberg, and Moses Malone, a position they made famous? I believe that position is center. Because the offensive line that you have now saved Laramie Tunsil, and Tunsil got pulverized in Kansas City. All right, let's just be real.
Ooh, Ford abused him.
Laramie Tunsil, even though the Texans bolted out to a 24-0 lead in the first, 15 and a half minutes.
I'll help you with this one.
Laramie Tunsil got pulverized. Okay? Laramie Tunsil, for lack of a better term, got abused.
Mm-hmm.
For lack of a better term, I'll use a little old school for my friends back home in Chicago. Laramie Tunsil got played to the left several hundred times.
This is what I don't get. So, in that wonderful, beautiful masterpiece of the AFC divisional round game in Kansas City, the Texans had a 21-0 lead.
Yep.
They had a 4th and short inside the Chiefs 15.
Uh-huh.
They looked like they could have gotten the first down, and they probably should have gone for it, got the first down. They would have scored a touchdown. They've been up 28-0. Instead, they go for the field goal. The Chiefs march down. They score 6, and then the floodgates open. So you mean to tell me that with 11 minutes to go in the first half, you were up on an NFL team 24-0. You go into halftime with a deficit.
Uh-huh.
Let me rewind it and say it again. You have a 24-0 lead on an NFL team with 11 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Yep.
And in the ensuing 11 minutes, you go from being up 24-0 to being down 28-24.
Let me go one step further.
So you mean to tell me you can give up 28 points in 11 minutes on Sunday?
Yep.
And then you could be awarded the general manager position on Monday? Please, Cal McNair, make that make sense to me. Please.
Okay. we got to close.
Good Lord.
Jeez. Now, we have to close with a favorite segment that you do on your show every Wednesday. And folks, you got to check out On the Daily. I knew you should. I'm going to give 2 shameless plugs here. You got to check out On the Daily each day, each weekday, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. It precedes this show. So you got the dynamic duo of sports that'll take you through this coronavirus pandemic, all right? Shameless plug. But we got to close with a segment by the dynamic duo that I love hearing on Wednesdays and borrowing for Fridays. But we're going to do it. We're going to do one of them, because I got the feeling there are going to be a few of them. We're going to do one of them now.
All right.
Because with we kind of tipped the iceberg. We hit the tip of the iceberg earlier in this conversation. In the oft comparison between the false 23 and the real 23.
Oh, Lord, I got to run with that one. The Fall 23.
I've said that for 17 years, okay? I've said it for 17 years.
Oh, Lord.
Let's try again.
That was good.
In the
That was good.
oft comparison between the false 23 and the real 23, there is more of a cape given to the false 23, even though he's left Cleveland twice. He left Miami in shambles.
Ooh,
and now
sure
the
did.
Lakers are in shambles. And I know people are going to tell me, hey, hit the brakes. The Lakers aren't in shambles. They got Anthony Davis. That's the problem. So, folks, I'm going to hand the floor to Mr. Johnson. And I'm going to, I laid all that out to say there are people who are actually, factually, and truly upset because of one, Mr. Brian Snow, yours truly, that has said, and I quote, LeBron James is a great athlete. He just ain't a good basketball player. Close quote. And I've also said, quote, LeBron has no business wearing number 23 because he doesn't honor the number and what it all represents, unlike Michael Jordan. Close quote. Let me make it a triple play. Michael Jordan got 6 championships with one team, a Defensive Player of the Year award, 10 scoring titles, 10 All-NBA defense, and 7 consecutive triple-doubles while being injured. That year was 1989. Close quote. And yet there are people that still believe that the false 23 is the greatest of all time. And now people are upset that he will not, quote-unquote, earn or win his 4th NBA title, nor win his 5th most valuable player award. So, in a system where greatness is shunned and partial greatness is honored, in an era where a player tries to give his best impression of what many consider to be the greatest of all time, it is he who is the false number 23 that gets the most honors, and he has yet to prove himself. These are the Bronzexual Confessions. Take it away.
All right, so I'll say this. So one of the things about LeBron James that I find interesting is that he seems to flap his gums a little bit soon for events such as this. Take, for example, in February when the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, said, we're going to try playing NBA games in empty arenas. We're going to try that out. LeBron, I'll paraphrase, basically said, quote, "You out your doggone mind. I ain't doing it." Close quote. Now, that's not what he said, but that was the
That's a paraphrase. That's a paraphrase.
I was paraphrasing. Yes, paraphrasing. It was 2 weeks later, and this is before they decided to make the empty arena game between the Warriors in San Francisco, the Warriors and the Nets. when LeBron basically backed up that sentiment faster than a woman in a strip club when he said, you know something about that? I'm with you in lockstep, Adam. I'll play. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. Really? And people say that you're their king.
That'll give an idea how much mess he has on the shelf.
I'm like, come on, dude. That is not monarch material right there. I mean, if you're gonna stand for something, stand real strong with it. Be bold. You said you weren't gonna play, stand on that. But no. You have to jump. You have to jump full the feet first in the situations and don't know the flavor. Oh yeah, like you did with the China stuff back in October. I'm sorry, I forgot. You do have a history of that. My bad. But I digress from that situation. So, roughly a week ago, you play a game against the Nets. You had a wonderful weekend before. You were stellar against the Bucks on Friday.
And the Clippers on Sunday.
And the Clippers on Sunday. Where the presumptive MVP and the defending MVP still had 32, 12, and 6 on you. But we're not going to let facts get in the way of a good story. So you beat the Bucks on Friday. You beat the Clippers on Sunday. And everybody is saying, well, why don't we give the MVP to LeBron James? Come on, he's 35. He leads the league in assists. He was at the center in the maelstrom of the China controversy. And he is the leader of the team that's gone through, and yes, I've heard this on mainstream media, quote, one of the greatest tragedies in NBA history, close quote, in reference to the great future Hall of Famer, Kobe Bryant's untimely passing in January. All of those factors should be why. Oh, and those 2 games on Friday and Sunday of last weekend should be why LeBron James should be the MVP. Oh, along with the fact he's 35. So we're going to forget 2 factors here. One of them being that to me, the MVP front, the real MVP front runner, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who finished last season with 27 points and 13 rebounds, is actually now 30 points and 14 rebounds. So we're going to bypass the fact he's having a better year this year than his MVP season last year, because we want to give it to a guy who's in the twilight of his career.
Oh,
so we're going to bypass someone who's actually having a better year than this guy, because we want to have a 35-year-old, 17th year in the league, win the MVP, since he's doing things that other 35-year-olds haven't done. I can think of another player who was at 35, or the same number, and he won the MVP. Yes. Michael Jordan at 35 won the MVP.
1998.
His fifth in his career.
1998 for those of you who do your research.
So you cannot tell me that LeBron James is doing things that every other 35-year-old has not done. I just gave you one who did. Because LeBron is not scoring 30 points a game.
Nope.
Being 35. The other number 23, the real number 23. Thank you, Rick Flair, for that one. The real number 23.
The real number 23. Oh, by the way, folks, the real number 23 not only picked up his 5th MVP award in 1998, not only still scored 30-plus a game, not only reached and won the World Championship Series with his 6th Finals MVP. He also was an all-defensive NBA first team.
Yeah. And I always say with Jordan, the shot was impressive. The strip steal was, to me, more impressive. The fact that he basically got the steal, got the ball, went down, and shot the championship winning shot.
Yep, the championship winning shot.
I always thought the steal was just as impressive as the shot. But I'm not talking about the real 23. I'm talking about the other 23. So we're going to dismiss Giannis and basically say, well, LeBron beat Giannis. Well, don't you forget that in December that Giannis put LeBron on his keister in Milwaukee? We forgot about that game.
Mm-hmm.
We forgot that the Bucks put the Lakers in their place in Milwaukee and in the Fiserv Arena. We forgot all that. We're just dealing with March. And then we come to Sunday when he bested Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. I'm happy that the Lakers beat the Clippers, and I'm happy that the LeBron James-led Lakers beat the Kawhi-led Clippers for the first time in 3 tries. Because we must have forgotten that the Clippers handed the Lakers their butts twice already.
And for the first time in 3 games, they held the Clippers to under 110 points.
110 points, yeah. So we must have forgotten all that, right? That's number one. Number two, LeBron James, and I know I'm going to get, in fact, I will preface this by saying, email me at info@coldsportswithaz.com for the take I'm about to bring you.
Bring it.
LeBron James is not the MVP of the league. He isn't even the MVP of his own team. Does he lead the team in scoring?
No.
Does he lead the team in rebounding? No. Does he lead the team in steals? No. Does he lead the team in block shot? No.
Nope.
And all of those stats I just named, one guy leads all the Anthony
Davis.
I'm not saying that Anthony Davis is the MVP of the league. Mm-hmm. I'm saying he is the most valuable player on the Lakers. And you Bronxexuals have the nerve to maybe the unmitigated gall, I should say, the utter stupidity to argue with me up and down and say, well, Davis wouldn't have all those stats if LeBron wasn't on the team, because when LeBron's off the court, Davis sucks. But when LeBron's on the court, Davis is something. Miss me 100% with that garbage. The only stat the great number 23 with you Bronxexuals leads the Lakers in, and he leads the league in, is assists. That's the only stat he leads the team in. I might have to check it because he might lead the team in turnovers too, but I'm digressing. Those 2 factors right there do not make him MVP for this year. And I do not have the tear to shed. I do not have the sympathy to give. And if I were covering the NBA and I had a vote to vote for the most valuable player in the 2020 season, it would not be cast for first place being LeBron James. He didn't earn it. It's just that simple. It has nothing to do with I hate the guy. I don't really give a crap about the guy. I don't care if he existed. I don't hate him. I don't like him. I respect him. But that's as far as it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying this because I want to hate on him and I hope things crumble down on him. No. I'm saying it because my 4 eyes, yes, I said 4, because I have 2 the guy gave me and 2 an optometrist gave me.
Yep. Same here.
I look at these games. I study these games. If I can't catch a full game, I watch highlights of them.
Yep.
Unbiased highlights of them.
Unbiased.
And I see it. So let's get back to this Nets-Lakers game. So LeBron had a chance to be the hero. He had a chance to submit the fact that he could be an MVP frontrunner.
Mm-hmm.
And so with about 10 seconds to go, he drives down the lane. He looked strong. He got past 2 defenders. He went with the left hand. He laid it up, and the ball bounced off the rim. A gimme layup. This guy is 6'8", 260. Now, I thought he was the most athletic guy that's ever played in the NBA. Now, to me, he is. Now, at 35, we're starting to see some of those injuries catch up to him. Because normally that would be a dunk. But this was a layup. It dribbles off the rim, ball goes out of bounds. Off the net. Lakers ball. So LeBron gets a chance to redo it. So he dribbles, he goes down the lane again, but instead of taking a 12-foot jump shot or going further into the hole, he kicks it out to Anthony Davis for a three. I thought LeBron James had a wonderful IQ. I thought he had a brilliant mind. Now, I'm not saying that Davis is a bad shooter. He's actually pretty decent from the three-point line. However, you're supposed to be the guy. You're supposed to be, in your own words, Mr. James, that you said in 2015, quote, I'm the best in the world. Close quote. So the best in the world couldn't hit a 12-foot jumper. The best in the world couldn't hit a 12-foot jumper. The best in the world thought, it'd probably be better if I kick this out to me, the MVP of the Lakers, for a three. Now, I get it if you were to have done this and you kick it out to a shooter like Danny Green. I would get that to a degree.
Yep.
But
yes, sir.
The best in the world decided to shrivel up in the moment that supposedly is to make him king. He misses a gimme layup, and then instead of taking another shot to risk looking worse, he dishes the ball out.
And I have...
So we go from a high percentage shot to a lower percentage shot. How much sense does that make? So I will say this again, like I did when I disproved why the 4 games disproved that LeBron James will never be the MVP, never be the GOAT of the league, ever.
Ever.
And that would be games 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the 2011 NBA Finals / World Championship Series. I will say these words again. Bronsexuals, is this your king? Because if he is, that crown looks absolutely tarnished. Clean it up.
And Bronsexuals, for that layup that he missed, a gimme. Well, Michael Jordan would not have missed it. Scottie Pippen would not have missed it. James Worthy would not have missed it. Let's see. Alex English would not have missed it. This one's for you, Mr. Johnson. Tom Chambers wouldn't have missed it.
Sure wouldn't.
This is for you also. Akeem Olajuwon wouldn't have missed it.
He definitely wouldn't.
Robert Horry, Robert Reed. How about this? How about a few more? I said Robert Horry. How about a few more Rockets? Ralph Sampson wouldn't have missed it.
Yeah,
Sam Cassell wouldn't have missed it, and he's a guard. And yet Sam Cassell had more nuts than LeBron James to take on bigger people.
He did.
Oh, here's another 33 that wore Houston colors. Otis Thorpe. Remember him? How about that? How about a couple of more? How about a couple of more forwards that would not have missed that? Sean Kemp, Xavier McDaniel. How about that? Charles Oakley. How about him? Huh? Y'all remember him? How about Dominique Wilkins? How about Dirk Nowitzki?
Oh, no, he definitely would not. That 50-foot fadeaway, that would have gone in.
With his eyes closed.
If he did drive them.
With his eyes closed.
With his eyes closed. Yep.
How about Dikembe Mutombo? How about that? The guy who couldn't develop a hook shot to save his life and yet was one of the best defensive setters of all time, which is why he's in the Hall of Fame. He wouldn't have missed that.
Deservedly so. Yeah.
Alonzo Mourning. I dare not forget him.
Mm-hmm.
How about Buck Williams?
Name,
How about Buck Williams?
Yeah, he would. Yeah. And I'll throw in the name that many of you Brownsexuals say he's better than, but I keep proving to you that he's not. Mr. Larry Bird would not miss that.
Oh, my God, Larry Bird. Larry
in
Bird.
Fact, in fact, he played a whole game left-handed
against the Portland Trailblazers.
That's how cold that man was. He would not have missed that gimme layup. He would not have missed that.
Nope. I mentioned James Worthy.
Yes, he definitely. The Statue of Liberty dunk. He surely would not have missed that.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Not a chance. Not a chance. Oh, and by the way, for you old schoolers like Cole and I, that 47 points against Portland where he hit everything left-handed, that came in the old Memorial Coliseum in Portland, Oregon.
Ah, yes.
That came in a small arena, but one of my favorites of all time. That came in the Memorial Coliseum in Portland, Oregon. You remember that?
Affectionately turned as the Rose Garden. Yeah, I remember that.
How about Jerome Kersey? He wouldn't have missed. How about Cedric Cornbread Maxwell, Kevin McHale? Since we're talking about forwards, since we're talking about people saying LeBron's the greatest forward ever, how about Kevin Durant? He'd have made that with his eyes closed, running back the other way. How about that?
I mean, look. He definitely is not the greatest forward ever. He to me still is not the greatest small forward ever, and it's about to be challenged. And yes, I'm about to say this now. It's about to be challenged that he's not the greatest small forward in this era now.
Yeah,
it's about to be challenged.
I agree with that.
Because when Kevin Durant steps on the court, if the Nets were to win the World Championship the following year, I'll be like, LeBron James, greatest small forward in this era? No, it's going to be KD.
Oh, that already got proven. That already got proven twice over. That already got proven twice. And for you Larry Bird fans, of which I am one, a little bit of Johnny Most for you from 1985.
The ball on a play. He's not being guarded. It goes to Bird. Bird up fakes. Bird takes the shot. It's gone! It's gone! Oh, my goodness! I can't believe it! It is gone from the corner! Oh, my! What a magnificent finish to this ball game! Bird! Bird from the corner!
Yeah, y'all remember that. 1985 in the Boston Garden. The Boston Garden.
What a legendary voice and a legendary building.
Johnny Most with that game winner. So don't tell me ever again that LeBron James is the greatest small forward to ever play the game.
Nope.
Because
you can at me.
You can miss me with that.
You can miss me with that, and you can at me with whoever you with your opposite opinion.
Bring it on. I say bring it on, man. Bring it on. Bring it on, okay? Because we've proven
great small forward, not him.
Nope. Not a chance. Not a chance. Oh, if you want to see a small forward battle, how about James Worthy and Larry Bird?
What I'd give to watch the 87 World Championship Series just between those two.
Yep.
Again. Talk about a chess match. Gosh.
And folks, let me close this version of the Bronze Sexual Confessions with this. I know that the False 23 has hit some game winners, but I'm about to play something here that takes me back to my glory days when I was in high school. The year was 1989. Okay? It was the day before his birthday. They were playing the Milwaukee Bucks. Oh, here's a name for you, Paul Pressey. How about that?
That's a name I haven't heard in years.
The Bucks led the entire game, except for the Bulls having the lead early in the first half. Okay? You want to talk about somebody that has the nerve, that has the unmitigated gall to rescue his team and put them to a victory? Here's an old place for you. Let's go to Chicago Stadium. Situation, 9 seconds left. Milwaukee 116, Chicago 115. Jim Durham, Johnny Kerr on the call. Paul Pressey, all he had to do was get the ball in bounds, force the Bulls to foul because the Bulls had no timeouts. And then this happened.
Pressey looks to bring it in. He comes in and throws it away. The Bulls have it. Here comes Michael Jordan on the drive. 5 seconds. Jordan on the drive, right in the lane. 18-footer. Yeah! 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 Yeah!
When basketball was truly basketball. When you had buzzer beaters like that. And I think that's how we're going to close up shop. I'm going to have this clip, courtesy of Sports Channel and the Bulls, take us out of here. Thank you, Cole Johnson. As always, much appreciated.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it on this end as well.
I love you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you too, man.
Jim Durham, Johnny Kerr, take us out.
Takes it, looks for three. It's not there. Goes into free throw line. Up over Jack Sigma. What does he find? Nothing but net. But points 49 and 50 for Jordan to give the Bulls a lead. 117 to 116. Michael loves it. This is their first lead in the second half. Remember, they were down 12 earlier in this fourth quarter. Michael Jordan has scored 27 of his 50 here in the fourth quarter. 1 tick of the clock left for Del Harris and the Milwaukee Bucks. If the ball goes out of bounds, they may be able to stop this situation. Right, because then it's their set defense. Now, I don't know how much tick is on the clock, but you know one thing, they're going to be watching for that timer to go after it. That ball's got to come in and be almost turned around. Michael is just so keyed, he could jump right out of this building.